What up, fellow big-brained boys? So there's this dude named Isaac Newton, right? You may have heard of him. He's pretty famous, you know. And he made these laws, but they weren't laws in the judicial sense, no. They were laws for the universe. Or I guess rather he observed the laws. Gravity still existed before he gave it a name and stuff. Wow, these glasses are not helpful in the slightest, as it is not very sunny here. Newton was a bit of a nut job. He was into alchemy and whatnot, but he was also, like, super smart. Come to think of it, being a little out there does seem to correspond with being at least considered a genius, which I guess must make me the smartest freaking person on the planet. I could probably make a whole video, a whole series of videos, a whole channel dedicated to Newton and his various, exploits and contributions to society, but right now I have a science project to get done, which is what this is, if you couldn't tell. Currently in school, we are learning about what is possibly one of Newton's most famous discoveries, next to gravity, of course, that being his 3 laws of motion. Now, typically this unit would come with a sort of demonstration of these laws, but as there is a pandemic going on right now, it falls on us to show how all these principles work in action. Oh boy. So that's what we're gonna do today. That thing I just said. But before we do, if you happen to be my science teacher watching, I just wanted to say I am so sorry for what you are about to witness. Video time! I'm doing this because I couldn't think of a good song to put here, because all of the good ones are copyrighted, doo-ba-doo-doo. Why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time here? I only have so much time to spend on this planet, oh my god, why am I wasting my life? What am I doing? No! Before I can properly demonstrate Newton's laws of motion, I feel I should first explain what they are. The list goes as follows. Law number 1. An object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. An object in motion will remain continuously in motion with the same speed in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Law number 2. Force is the product of mass and acceleration. And finally, law number 3. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Yes. Alright, so that's cool, but what does any of that actually mean? Well, the first law, also known as the law of inertia, basically states that objects resist change. They want to keep doing what they're doing, whether that's staying still or moving in a specific direction at a particular speed. And you need to apply an unbalanced force if you want to alter that. Unbalanced in this context just means not equally distributed on all sides of the object, because if you applied the same amount of force on all sides, then nothing would change. They'd all cancel each other out. My point is, Newton was a filthy capitalist, and so is the universe, apparently. You see, if there was nothing here to stop it, this ball would have just kept on going, traveling at the same speed in the same direction. Now, thankfully, I was here to stop it, so... what the... It's not quite that simple, though. Sure, the unbalanced force could be referring to a wall, or a kick, or my face, but it could also be referring to more subtle influences. The ball obviously would not have gone on forever, even if it were thrown in a giant, wide-open field. it would eventually fall to the ground and stop due to factors like gravity, wind resistance, friction, etc., etc. These sneakier forces are just as capable at getting stuff to move or to stop as my face, or anyone else's face for that matter. To summarize Newton's first law, stuff doesn't want to change, and if you want it to change, you need to apply a bit of encouragement. Bang. This is a water gun. Second law, alright. Newton's second law of motion is probably the simplest to understand out of the three. It can be abbreviated into the equation force equals mass times acceleration. So the force of something is dependent on how much it accelerates and how much stuff is in it. To demonstrate, I will hit this egg with this hammer, but very lightly. Oh no! Now I'll hit it again, but harder this time. Oh, no, stop. Ta-da! Now, the mass of the hammer didn't change. It's still the same hammer. I just swung it faster and harder this time, accelerating it more, and thus giving it enough force to just completely destroy this weak, pathetic, fragile, useless egg with facts and logic. Die, egg. And as with any other equation, you can sort of reverse engineer it to find any of the other terms. So this law allows you to find an object's force, mass, or acceleration as long as you know the other two. Finally, we got law number 3. Possibly the most famous one, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Essentially, whenever you exert a force on an object, an equivalent amount of force is exerted back at you. Ow! Yeah. Take that. Wow, these are like barely damaged at all. I guess it's a good sign that our bike helmets are made well. You see, when I hit this bike helmet against the ground, I, and by extension the helmet, was exerting a force against the earth, but the earth was exerting a force back, which is why it fell apart and took a bit of damage, if you can see, though it's not very noticeable. Why did I even use a bike helmet exactly? Like, that... I was planning to use like a plate because it would break apart, but then my parents informed me that we use those to eat, so, and they gave me a bike helmet, so, hold on a second, are there any more eggs? Yay! See, look, the egg has been destroyed because the forces exerted back on it by the ground were too much. It was too much for it to handle. This isn't gonna be very much fun to clean up, is it? Yes, what a beautiful egg. Yes, how delicious. You can also see this principle demonstrated every time you walk or ride a bike or just stand. You're pushing against the ground, that much I hope is obvious, but the ground is also pushing back up at you. If it wasn't, you'd fall right through the earth and fly off into space with nothing to hold on to and nothing to stop you from drifting off into the cold, empty, endless abyss of decay that is our universe. So, Yeah, thankfully that law exists. I'm on a hammock now. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you managed to learn something new about Newton. Remember to like, subscribe, don't give me a failing grade, and I shall see you next time. Well, that was a shaky. And I shall see you next time, comrades.